It looks like folks are trickling Gesundheit. Um, um, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today for our last P&A Senate meeting of the semester. And next time this body gathers, Tony Abst is going to be your chair. We have a very packed agenda today, which includes presentations from the Peak team, the University of Minnesota Retirees Association, our elections, and our updates from PAC. I want to note today that we have turned the chat function off. Elections can be a little bit chaotic behind the scenes, and for this meeting only, we really needed to minimize these distractions. However, we hope that, this body is as active as always. So please raise your hand if you'd like to contribute to discussion or ask questions of our panelists, and I'll be calling on you to speak. First up, we have our presentation and Q&A from the Peak team. There's going to be plenty of time to ask your questions after the presentation. Tracy, Emily, and Ken, you have the floor to present.
Thank you so much and good morning. I think it's been a little while since we've had a chance to join the Senate with this group, so we appreciate the opportunity. Ken, Tracy, and I are here just to kind of give a brief update on progress with Peak, but as Kit mentioned, we just really welcome questions and feedback that you have for us today. So we'll try to be pretty brief with our update and leave plenty of time for questions. And thank you, Tracy, for pulling up the deck here. Many of you have seen a slide similar to this before, but just sort of a grounding in where we are with Peak right now and really the objectives of Peak. So we have completed phases 1 and 2 of Peak implementation, meaning those units have transitioned to services, a shared services model with HR and finance. And we're in the process of formally kicking off phase 3. We're excited. We've already been having some of those conversations over the last few months. And at the end of May, we'll have a formal kickoff event for those units. So that's kind of where we stand from an implementation standpoint. Why are we doing Peak and sort of what is Peak about? It's really these 4 pillars. So we do want to create a more consistent and equitable experience by having these shared services available to units. Compliance is also another key part of Peak, and just having those teams that are specialized in different areas, having teams that can react quickly to regulatory needs, just having teams that are really focused on a daily basis around certain transactions and services has been helpful in supporting compliance, and we've seen examples of that. Enhancing career opportunities. So Peak is very much an effort about people as well as the service transition. And we're delighted to have had a lot of folks joining the ops centers who've received training, who have mentioned they really appreciate being part of sort of a community of practice and that they have a chance to continue to expand their career at the U. The increased efficiency part of the objectives, I think, is sort of the one that we get a lot of questions around, and I think it's important to point out it's really increasing efficiency over time. So we know there is a ramp up period as we bring people into the operations centers and get them trained. We know there are conversations with units that need to happen to become even more efficient over time and to enhance processes. But the goal really is very much to increase efficiency over time. So that's just a little bit about where we are with Peak and why we're doing Peak. I think the only other thing to point out here is that right now our scope has primarily been focused on HR and finance. We have a new VP of communications, Chris Gotti, who's working on the strategic vision for university marketing communications. So I did want to point out that Marcom is currently reviewing their approach to this work in alignment with the Peak principles, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. And then finally, we get questions from time to time about Peak and whether it's really intended to be a cost savings initiative. Really what we're trying to do is implement this program on a cost neutral basis. We continue to strive to accomplish that. The efficiency gain over time could mean budget savings, but really we won't know that until we complete the end of Peak, which would be phase 4. So with that, Tracy, I think we'll move to the next slide And I won't read all the words on this slide, but essentially this change will bring benefit to our university system overall, as well as our academic and administrative units and employees. From a university system, I think I touched on some of these already. We do hope over time there'll be increased speed of service delivery. And we do hope also to have the ability to invest in technology based on standardized processes. We're working a lot more closely with the academic and administrative units based on lessons learned, and Tracy will talk more about that. But we do acknowledge there really is a chance to partner more deeply with the units as we start on phase 3 in terms of what they do with increased capacity as people move to the operation centers and they have work remaining in the unit as well as capacity in the unit. So we're working hard in phase 3 to figure out how to support units better in work realignment and process redesign. And finally, for employees, we want to continue to support our employees with new opportunities for career growth and that specialization. And our hope also is within the operations centers that by having backup and teams that are working closely together, that can enhance work-life balance by people feeling they can take time off and have backup within their team. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy to talk a little bit about the service model changes. Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Emily. So when we talk about the what here, we're really referring to the new service model for standardizing how HR and finance requests are processed for the university. So we will be transitioning this work from the college and units from what they were previously doing directly in the EFS or PeopleSoft system to sending it via a technology tool that is called Team Dynamics or TDX. You may recognize this because it's the same tool that is used in the IT portals. So leveraging this technology to send those requests over to our shared services centers to actually enter that data into our systems. As a reminder, the college and unit leaders are still going to be driving this work, making the decisions, really owning that important piece of the connection with employees and supervisors. Really what we're doing is moving the transactional work to help create standardization of practice and consistency in the delivery of these services. So with that, we have been doing a lot of listening and learning throughout phases 1 and 2, and making changes to our processes to better support units and employees individually throughout this process. So we have learned that units really would prefer a greater level of support through this. That includes resources, that includes envisioning what things may look like in the future. In the next slide, we'll talk about kind of our overall roadmap and structure of how we are working through this process with units in phases 3 and 4 moving forward. But we are definitely hearing that desire for more support and adjusting accordingly. We have also heard that some of the processes are a bit confusing or unclear. So we are working to simplify our implementation processes. We are looking to build a greater understanding on the front end around current processes and who is completing the work, and also make our staffing processes as we move into implementation clearer and more simplified for employees. Communications has been a bit of a struggle to find that sweet spot. So we're working really closely with units in phases 3 and 4 to figure out and hear from them what is the best way to communicate and to get in front of employees such that important messages around timing and decisions are clear and available to employees as they need them. So that is one piece. We also incorporated within phase 2 a communication piece that I think was really useful. As we started moving into staffing, we had some meet and greet events with our ops centers, leaders, and employees, so that those who are interested in moving into those available roles could come and talk with them and learn what would this look like on a day-to-day basis? What would my role look like? What would my job look like? Meet the people that they would potentially be working with. It really was a valuable experience for those employees, and helped kind of set the tone of partnership and a little glimpse into what the day-to-day might look like. And also on the tail of that communication, really being clear about the value and the progress along the way. So upping our storytelling around how things are going and what the impacts are, and what we're hearing from employees who are remaining in the unit, as well as employees who may have opted to move into one of our ops centers. So with that, we've done a lot of incorporating those learnings into our approach for phases 3 and 4, taking a much more approach that's much more centered around both the individual and the local unit experience as we move forward. So this roadmap is designed to guide people through the transition. In phase 3, we're spending a lot more time in this, what we're calling the path to future state, which includes discover, validate, and design, to help navigate the workforce transitions as responsibilities shift to our shared services. So really supporting units in mapping out what their current state is, having really detailed conversations so that there is clarity around what will shift to the operation centers and how that will look, how those inputs work, and then working with units earlier on in the process to redesign the work that is remaining in the unit to make sure that we are providing the greatest level of efficiency for the work remaining in the unit, and having time to train local staff around what those new processes will look like. We're also being very deliberate about embedding change management across the entire roadmap so that we are bringing folks along throughout the process. Again, really centering our people in this model, and it's making sure that the people focus is guiding how we plan, engage, and implement.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for covering all that. I realized too, as we were talking about the kickoff, we didn't really talk about the overall timeline. So I'll just kind of quick add that and then open it up for questions and discussion. We are working hard to complete peak by late 2026. And so we are targeting kind of early 2026 for implementing phase 3, and then late 2026 for implementing phase 4 at this time, if that helps from a kind of where are we going standpoint. But Kit and the Senate, that's really just high level what we wanted to share, and would love to hear any questions from you all.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. All right, folks. This is your time to ask questions of the Peak team, share feedback. And again, I just ask that you do this respectfully, and please raise your hands and I'll call on you. Great. Natalie Buckman, go ahead, please.
Okay. My question is related to, with the specialized operations centers, how are things being handled when they don't necessarily fit into one of those boxes? I recently had an experience where it was about 3.5 months to find someone to give approval for a driver that I needed to download that didn't have a cost, so it wasn't exactly purchasing, but needed OGC review. And in the end, I had to go to Colby Reese and say, can you please help me get to the right people to approve this? So and we've had some other things, at least in our unit, we're not completely standard. Oops, excuse me. But I'm just curious about how it's handled when things aren't obvious which center they go to, or if they feel like they don't fit in any of the centers.
I think it's a great question, Natalie. And for sure, as those more unique things come up, we know there's always opportunity to be moving things along more quickly or to be doing even better. I think it's sort of twofold. One is for the phases that we have coming up, units that haven't transitioned yet, through our process discovery process that Tracy sort of showed on that slide, is that yellow wheel. We hope to uncover some of those things so we can have some of those discussions more proactively and identify, those nuances. Obviously, we're not going to catch everything, but that we are going more deeply into process discovery for units go forward. For units that have already implemented, our operations centers leaders are really striving hard to have good partnerships with the units on things that come up that are issues or that maybe are unique. So would encourage just I would say escalating anything that's sort of coming up that isn't falls into that boat. Kind of looking to Ken now to see if anything from the HR side is something he'd like to add here.
Well, I think the decisions we make, and that is a good question, and it is something we are learning as we go. Um, if that was a procurement process, we can certainly check into it. There are things that aren't by rote or transactional that we need to account for. And I think the approach we should take is, where does it make sense to do it? And when we keep it in the realm of the unit itself, how do we establish a best practice that doesn't vary widely across units? So I think that's the challenge, and I don't think that's an overnight thing, but as we get these examples, we can laser in on them and work through them. That's a very welcome comment. And we do have some of those things in HR too that are unique and tailored to a specific employee that, locally you will understand what you need to do to support that individual, and we may not have it in a database, obviously. So we have to, sometimes it's through a strong partnership that has to develop. Sometimes this may just not be in the scope of P. We need to allow it to continue in the unit.
Thanks, Ken. Brian Olmsted, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks. So I think Emily mentioned that it's not necessarily a cost-saving initiative. And maybe I missed this, but if it's not a cost-saving initiative, like what are the goals? Because if you're open to feedback, I think so far the impression is that the peak effort is not supporting its own goal if it's just efficiency. Couple
Yeah,
other, yeah, a couple other
good
quick
point.
Yeah, a couple other quick comments. The Peak website provides a bunch of information that assumes the premise that decentralized systems are inefficient, generally not as good as a centralized system where shared services are more broadly leveraged. Has anybody ever asked why we were decentralized in the first place? There actually can be tremendous benefits for a decentralized system based on the specialized nature that particular units have. Um, Another question then is, team dynamics is it's no doubt great for keeping track of requests, but is the peak team aware of the incredible inefficiencies and major problems associated with team dynamics that create, issues at the university? I think I've got 20 open team dynamics tickets, and I can't even find anybody to close out one of them, and it's kind of driving a lot or grinding a lot of our operations to a halt. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my questions. Sorry, I know we're a little pressed for time. So sorry to pepper you with them, but
I, I can, and Emily and Tracy, feel free to hop in. Thank you, Brian. I think early on when we talked about peak, there was obviously a dollar figure given. And I think we regret that anytime you mention a dollar figure and a sizable one, that is where the gravity goes, and people look at that, and understandably. However, in the context of this project, we talked about compliance, accuracy, reduced liability, and risk. Those were significant factors in why this project was taken on. And we did not have the capacity internally to do it, so we did turn to a consultant, and we're separating that relationship now, and it's going to be fully done at the university. And I do think once we accomplish this, going forward, there will be cost avoid. Some of the things around compliance and liability we see, and this does not mean people are doing it intentionally, but we have people who are not employees who are shown as an active hire at times. We have people who are put on programs that they're not eligible for. We have termination inaccuracies, and we have leave administration that doesn't account for the amount of time prior to implementing our current structure for that. We need to follow civil service rules and labor agreements to the T. And so a lot of those things are really important. And when we have external audits, it is not an excuse that we're doing this in a decentralized way. Also, training is a challenge. So I don't think we want to streamline and share service everything. You are exactly right. There are things that need to remain in the unit. And if I could go back in time, that would be an emphasis of the message on this. But going forward, that is what we're striving to achieve. I can tell you, our peers, for the most part, have adopted this approach, and they have very decentralized environments. In fact, there are large institutions that if you're not in the HR job family, you have no access to the HR system, nor can you do any HR transactions. And that is determined by mandatory training and regular training, which we haven't even gotten to yet. So we're early on in this. I do think PDX is an issue. When we did this, we were limited to the technology the university owned. There probably would have been different decisions. There may be in the future. We understand the frustration around that. And with one of our phase 2 units, they have found a path to addressing that seems to be more efficient than what others are considering. So we're trying to learn from that. And when we implement phase 3, that should also include what do the units do once we pull this work in? How do they function? And so that is something that we're hoping to change going forward. And so I'll just stop there. I think there's a lot of validity in Brian's comments. I hope I've brought up some of the perspective of why we ended up in this space and tried to be transparent.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Josh.
Yeah, I'll be fairly brief because I know there's folks waiting as well. I'm in a non-peak unit actually, and I think there has been at least one HR situation that I've been involved with where it almost seems like being a non-peak unit, we're being left behind and that we were no longer getting some of the recruiting services that we used to get. So I think, kind of on the flip side of it, kind of for those who have not yet transitioned into peak, making sure that, they're still able to receive the services that they 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 wouldn't have normally gotten. And then just again, I don't know a lot, and this may already be something that is already happening, but I think maybe having folks that are like the contact point for longer term change or longer term processes with each unit would help a lot. If there was like someone in not like a day to day, but like in a month, year to year, that can kind of work through the nuances of units and things. I don't know, that's just something that comes to mind, but yeah, that's
Thank you very much, Joshua.
Alex.
Hi, I am going to share a constituent concern, not a concern that I've directly had. Is there any sense as to why some tickets seem to be there seems to be like a large variance in how long it seems to be taking tickets to be resolved? So I've heard recently that like one person's experience is they'll put in a ticket and it'll be resolved within like an hour. But I also have a colleague who's put in like what she feels like is a very simple ticket, and it took 3 weeks, 4 weeks to hear anything. Like getting a calendar set up for a shared departmental vehicle. It's like she couldn't even get somebody to resolve that ticket. And I was just wondering if there's any lessons you all have been learning as to why there's that kind of variance in ticket resolution rate.
Appreciate you bringing it up, Alex. I think we have heard sort of volumes in some areas can be a little bit different. We also know different teams, maybe bringing in folks that need different levels of training. And so some folks are going to be able to sort of hit the ground running, maybe to support units a little bit more quickly. Some still might be on a training curve, but our operations leaders are very open to hearing the feedback about what's maybe could be improved, or at least setting expectations around how some of those timing things are being handled. So I would just ask maybe the more specific information that could be shared around tickets that are taking longer could be really helpful, and we can make sure that our operations leaders are following up. Ken, is there anything you would want to add from a HR ops standpoint?
Well, I think that was a good summary. Thank you.
Nick, go ahead.
Alrighty. Hi, Nick Scoulon from the Morris campus. This is also kind of a constituent concern coming forward, but I'm wondering what the current mechanism is for collecting feedback and for tracking like escalated tickets. So I have constituents in the Office of Financial Aid who have been having a lot of trouble with training gaps in HR specifically, not setting up our student employees correctly at Morris. Like to the point that some of the financial aid staff have to double check each and every single student to ensure that they're set up correctly, because there's just not the level of trust that's been built yet. And that's been ongoing for a while now. So one part I want to bring that forward is that's been an ongoing issue, and another curious to know like how are those kinds of issues being tracked, and how can they be brought forward if they're either not being tracked or not being caught with the current tracking processes.
I suspect there's several layers of tracking going on, Nick, sort of like the daily, feedback and TDX conversations and things like that. But then also, I know there are regular SLA meetings with phase 1 and phase 2 units that are occurring just to sort of check in on how things are going from an HR perspective. I believe there might be some similar things set up on the finance side. So Ken and I can certainly take this back to Amy Kuchera and have a look at it. It's been really, really helpful when these issues have been flagged, and it sounds like this has been an ongoing issue. So my guess is that this has been communicated and you all are sort of waiting for more conversation and resolution around it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
And it sounds like more recently it's been just largely training gaps of staff just either don't have the exact knowledge of the Morris processes, or are not as well versed in student employment versus regular employees,
Okay.
which has been causing issues. So
Thank you so much for raising it, and we will follow up on that. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick. Elizabeth Feedy.
Yeah, hi, thanks everybody. I'm from the Hormel Institute. So I guess my question's somewhat related to some that have come up already, in that from the HR side of things. I'm fortunate to have a really strong HR team here on site. And we're finding that, especially with the leave team processes, that we've had to create our own shadow system, similar to what Nick had mentioned at the Morris campus, where we have to track every interaction and correct the leave team through the peak leave team on every interaction. It's caused significant stress for a number of our folks that have gone through leaves recently, who are already under significant mental or medical situations. And just wondering how, our unit hasn't been through peak yet. I think we're phase 4. But what sort of thoughts do you have as far as how to take these really high performing units that are on, in these unit levels, and not worsen the HR experience through
Well,
through centralizing some of these things?
thank you for that, Elizabeth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up and volunteer you and Alex to speak with our lead supervisor and Amy Kuchera to work through any issues, because we can learn and be better. I can tell you that before I was in this role, I was a total rewards director when we changed our parental leave. After we did thorough training with every institute or every college, I spent the next 8 months individually meeting with employees who had had their leave mishandled across the system. So I have a certain perspective on this. It's probably deeply biased, and I'm just going to set myself aside and recuse myself on it. But I do want us to get to the bottom of it because we have to solve this. And I would guess the leaves you're talking about sometimes get very complex. There's a lot going on, and it's the last moment someone needs bureaucracy in their face. So, if you're okay with that, I want it to be useful. So we'll take a note and reach out to you shortly to set up a time just to listen and then to move forward.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Ken, Emily, I know we're like just at time. Do you have time for one last question? Perfect. Elizabeth Richardson. And then Angelique, I'm so sorry. We're out of time. I did in the chat put that Emily, Ken, or Tracy are really happy being contacted directly. There's also peakconnect@uofm.edu. If you or umn.edu if you want to reach out to them directly as well. So go ahead, Elizabeth, with the last question.
Yeah, I think it's just two comments that I hope are brief. So one of them is I am a finance manager in phase 3 in school public health. And I would say that I'm getting asked almost weekly, honestly, about people wanting updates on peak. And so I'm just curious, like, at what point is that communication going to start coming? Because I can just kind of tell them to hold off till a certain time.
Oh, they're gonna be happy. They're gonna be
Okay.
happy, Elizabeth, because it's coming to a theater near you soon.
Okay.
We've been working hard on a broad communication that'll be going out from executive leadership regarding peak. And so we hope that that is sort of the start of continuing to inform a broader audience about where we're going. So I think in the next few days, a broader communication will be going out. Certainly, any questions you've got, though, knowing it'll be sort of more high level about us embarking on phase 3, happy to follow up offline on anything else you need.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention too, just kind of related to the tickets, I have had the experience of submitting some of my financial tickets myself and never hearing back at all. And I just mentioned that because I've been, working with the help desk for many years and working with tickets, and I've never, ever had that experience of just not ever hearing back on stuff that seems relatively straightforward. So I just wanted to provide that feedback. So if there's a way to kind of make sure all tickets are closed out or somebody gets some kind of a response, that would be really helpful. Thanks.
Thank you. I know we're at time, Elizabeth, but if there's any more specific examples related to HR or finance that would be helpful for us to understand, please do let us know.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Emily, Tracy, Ken, thank you all so much. Again, I'm really grateful. I know that we could have probably had an hour of conversation, and I know that I've personally reached out directly to your team and gotten very quick responses with any sort of question that I've sent over. And so I encourage everyone on here, don't be afraid of these three. They're quick responders. They give honest and candid answers. And I just encourage you to reach out to them directly or via peakconnect@umn.edu. If you have any questions, Tracy, Emily, Ken, anything else?
We really appreciate the opportunity, and we hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. All right, next up, our friends Julie and Diane from the U of M Retirees Association are going to be sharing a presentation. And Julie and Diane, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Very glad to be here today. I'm Julie Schweitzer, and with me is Diane Young. I'm the current president of UMRA, the U of M Retirees Association. And Diane, why don't you say hi just so people, your picture gets picked up by people.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Diane Young, and I'm president-elect of UMRA.
Which means she takes over on July 1st. We were both P&As in our years at the university. I retired about 4.5 years ago when peak was only a concept, so I was interested in that discussion beforehand. My roles at the U over 32 years included initially as an attorney in the general counsel's office, director of equal opportunity, and the last third of my career was working college readiness and youth programs. Diane was in development at the foundation. UMRA is a voluntary association for people who retire from the university from all campuses. Our mission is to support retirees as we learn, serve, and connect with each other and with the U community. We represent all employee categories, And we're incorporated as a separate nonprofit from the university back in 1978. So we are coming up on our 50th year anniversary. We do have an MOU with the university via the provost's office and get some minor but important support from the university in terms of hosting the website and organizational email. No money, however. We have about 850 to 875 members, depending on the time of year and renewals, all that. As I mentioned, we represent all campuses. We are primarily Twin Cities. Not a total surprise, given that that's where the largest number of employees are. We were very pleased this year when the Morris Retiree Association decided to merge with UMRA and create a special interest group for to join our activities and have special Morris retiree focus. We've tried to connect with Duluth, haven't been real successful in doing that, but I think there's some interest in the future of having a stronger Duluth connection, and whether it's activities there, doing things jointly, whatever. So if you know any Duluth retirees, have them get in touch with me or Diane. So how do we do this? What kind of activities do we have? We have monthly luncheon forums with speakers, often university faculty or administrators, on topics that our program committee selects. President Cunningham came last fall. The Law School and Political Science Department have been great sources recently as we're looking at the legal and political changes in recent years. This month, we had the former director of the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum, who retired about a year ago and joined UMRA, talking about the the Arboretum and Earth Day. This month, in May now, our speaker is Regent Penny Wheeler. We have monthly Zoom webinars as well on living well topics, living well as retirees, which is pretty broad, often health related, but more broadly than that. A significant arm of UMRA is the URVC, which is the University Retirees Volunteer Center. And URVC recruits volunteers for all sorts of activities like research projects, ushering at RARIG, admissions recruitment days, mock trials at the law school, sometimes community events. Last time I looked, they were recruiting volunteers for something called River Valley Riders, an event for people with special needs involving horses. And I've participated in some involving meal packing for youth in schools. We also have special interest groups that are created by the members, hiking, photography, genealogy, financial issues, travel, and book clubs. We also provide small competitive professional development grants to retirees working on projects of their interests. So those go to a number of P&A, former P&A employees, as well as faculty. And I suspect civil service, but the people I can think of right now fall in those other categories. Our website is umra.umn.edu, has many articles on our activities, copies of our newsletters, all of our organizational documents. We did fight regarding the end of university email for retirees. It was email, Google Workspace, and library access. We lost that, as you know. So we all lost our U of M email in December. Some people like me had created other email accounts, but some of our retirees, the only email and Google space they'd ever used was connected through the university. So it was a significant change for them and troublesome. We do try and support the youth through the Volunteer Center and other ways. We've worked with the Vice Provost for Faculty and Academic Affairs and presenting a Zoom webinar for faculty considering retirement. The last couple of years, we find 2 or 3 retirees who can talk about their decision process, what they found to be important in that decision and in retirement since that decision. We have offered to partner with HR in the same kind of events for all other staff, because we believe there used to be a lot more information sessions for employees. Many of us found them to be very valuable, and we would encourage HR to do that for you and your colleagues, as I suspect many of you are not at that point, but you often start thinking about it 5 to 10 years before it actually happens. So that's why we're here today. We want you to know about UMRA because we hope you'll join us when you retire. And if any of you are close to that, the first year is free. But we also want to help the university and those still working there. We have many members with lots of experience across the U, civil service, P&A, and faculty. We'd like to keep you informed about what we're doing. And if there's ever projects or ideas that might benefit from a retiree perspective or time, we'd like to explore seeing if we can find a match. So that's it. That's our overview of what we do. Part of this is just building a relationship. There may not be anything that comes to mind as of the moment of, oh, I could use a retiree connection. But 2 months from now, 4 months from now, maybe you'll think of something. I see familiar names and faces in this screen, and we'd be happy to hear from any of you as you might come up with ideas. So Kit, back to you.
Folks, do you have any questions, comments, feedback for Julie or Diane?
I'll provide a comment, Kit. I just
Great,
want to
go for it,
say,
Sharon.
yeah, I just want to say thanks, Julie. It's so good to see you. I've worked with you and Diane both in other capacities. So great to see you both. I hope retirement's treating you well. And great to know that you're involved. And definitely we'll think about ways to connect and keep the ties going. And maybe even with the coordinate campuses as well. So yeah, I think it's great to have your expertise too, because I know as people think about retiring, even the logistical pieces of that get very overwhelming. So it would be nice to know if, there's any way we can get those informational sessions from HR and maybe someone previously who has gone through the process. So thank you for being here.
Good to see you, Shireen.
Yes, definitely.
Alex.
Yeah, I'll provide a comment since I'm thinking about it. I just opened up the UMRA website and I noticed one of the upcoming events is how to avoid being scammed, which I think is a topic that is relevant to anybody at any point in their career. And what that made me think about is I'm the current co-chair of the PD&E committee, so we put on events related to professional development and policy here at the U. And we just recently had somebody, an attendee of one of our events, ask, do you guys give well-being points for attending these events? And I went, no. No one's ever even brought that up before, but I thought, that's a really good idea. I wonder if that's even possible. It had never crossed my mind before, and I thought, wow, and I saw that could apply just as easily to this kind of event too. And I had wondered if that was ever something that you had considered, and do you even know if it's possible? And so it's kind of a question and kind of a comment.
We haven't considered that because the well-being policy doesn't apply to us anymore. So you'd have to talk with HR, and I assume the Senate leadership here could help with those connections. One of the things I've learned is I've been retired about 4.5 years, and this is the second session we're having on variations on being scammed. The initial focus was because those of us over 60, 65 have been the most frequent target. But I've heard recently that either the next most or even more frequent target is those like 20 to 30, which is probably more reflective of your membership. So it's a great topic. And just one of the things we are involved in is the only benefit that stays with you when you retire from the university is insurance. You have to pay full freight for it. So I'm not saying it's being funded by it. And that is changing completely next year, where we're going to be buying off the market. So again, wellness points are not something that affects us.
Thank you, Julie. Jeff.
Hello. Hey, thanks, Kit. Yeah, my name is Jeff Altringer. I'm a benefits consultant in the Office of Human Resources, and I'm on our retirement programs team, and I work with Julie and Umra quite a bit. Also am on our financial well-being planning. So, Alex, just for your awareness, we typically do our the identity theft and stuff November and October, November. October is National Retirement Security Month, so we have our financial well-being partners plan their events around that timing. And for well-being points, if there isn't a specific assigned amount for that event, you can always log it under like well-being my way. So you can, there's kind of a catch-all category for anything you do that is towards your well-being. Yeah, and I was going to comment that just Umra, we really appreciate their partnership. As I meet with people who are retiring, a lot of it is planning for how you're going to spend your time in retirement and just the mental preparation. And so I really, when I meet with people, I bring Umra up and let them know that this community that they have for volunteering or connection, the social, the intellectual stimulation of their presenters, it does meet a lot of those some people think about that before they retire, but not everybody. So connecting people with others that have gone through that experience can really help people prepare for retirement. So, and yes, Umer is a great partner with us as we plan for this transition for our retiree medical insurance coming up in 2026. So I didn't have any other questions, just wanted to comment and close the loop on a couple of the things because we do I am the OHR representative. I'm ending my term, so I'm not sure who will succeed me, but just wanted to thank Julie and Diane for being here and for your partnership with Central OHR.
Yeah, Jeff has been a good partner. We really appreciate him and the others there. The main issue or the main work has been communicating about health insurance, which is a big challenge. And I experienced what they experienced with the changes last year. People would months after it happened. So when did why did this happen? And then you'd point to the webinar we had, the newsletters, the articles, and somehow they had still missed it all. So that's a critical part, and HR has been a great partner in that.
Julie and Diane, I wanted to reach out. What if people want to contact you, how should they reach out directly?
The easiest email to remember, the easiest way is by email. And there's one set up at umra, UMRA at umn.edu. That gets reviewed, I think daily, but pretty regularly, and then will get passed on to the right person. Both of our emails, which are not as easy to remember anymore because they are not UMN, are on our website under the leadership, I think is where they are. Mine is jsweitzer@comcast.net, but go to the Umer website and you'll find it. So that's the easiest way.
Great, thank you. Folks, any last questions for Julie or Diane? Comments, feedback?
Then thank you for the opportunity to connect with you.
Yes, thank you very much. We look forward to future connections with all of you.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to move forward to the next agenda item, which is just a policy review of the compensation for academic, professional, and administrative employees policy. I will throw the link into the chat. And also, this is in the agenda for information only. And there we go. All right. Now we're going to move on to our elections. I have a few notes, more than a few notes. I have lots of notes before we get started. So we have 6 ballots to vote on today. Chair-elect.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, could someone mute whoever that person is, please? Thank you. All right, sorry, I lost track. Chair-elect, Benefits and Compensation Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs, Communications Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs, Professional Development and Enrichment Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs, Outreach Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs, and University Senate Representatives. Please note that Jacqueline is going to be executing polls and sharing results. So if you have questions about elections, please don't DM Jacqueline and instead reach out to me, Tony, or Lori Cooper Stahl, or better yet, raise your hand to speak up. We have a few folks here from the Senate office today. Thank you so much for helping out. Elections have lots of moving parts behind the scenes, people, so I would just ask for patience if we have any pauses. While we have candidates for many of these open spots, there are several open spaces still, and our elections do allow nominations from the floor during elections. If you decide to nominate or to self-nominate from the floor, please note that there is no need for a motion or a second to support a floor nomination. If you nominate someone who does not want to be nominated, a candidate who is nominated from the floor can decline the nomination. Finally, floor nominees get 1 minute to speak on their candidacy and can include the following information if they wish, which was listed on the nomination form. Relevant experience to the position you are seeking in P&A governance and other organizations, your vision, goals, and tentative plan for the position that you're seeking. All of our candidates who submitted materials prior to our ballots being created will be called on and may speak for up to 1 minute. There will be a timer in the upper right corner of the Zoom window. Time will not be extended past 1 minute. All right, to ensure that our voting today is correct, I need all of our senators and alternates to double check that they are marked correctly with an X on the attendance sheet. That sheet is posted in chat. A reminder too that alternates should not vote unless they have been asked to attend on behalf of a senator in their unit. All right, Jacqueline or Lori, can you please verify that we have quorum?
We have quorum.
Thank you for that. Quorum has been verified. All right, the winner of the elections is the person who receives the majority of the votes. And as a reminder, the chair, me, will not vote unless there is a tie. The Zoom polls are going to be reviewed and the votes will be verified after the meeting. Phone votes will not be accepted because we cannot verify voice votes. We're going to begin with the election for chair-elect. Do we have any nominations from the floor? All right. Molly Benzik has submitted her nomination packet. I invite you, Molly, to speak for 1 minute, please.
Thanks, Kit. Thanks, everyone. I debated whether or not I was wanting to do this because I think it's a big, important job to represent so many employees. But overall, I do think that it's something that I want to do on behalf of my colleagues, and in particular at this time, supporting chair apps next year and then my chairship the year after, with everything that's changing at the university. So I'm not going to restate everything that I put in my narrative in the form. But I do have goals, and I think that they are useful and valuable for this body. And I do hope that I will represent everyone well if I am elected.
Thank you so much, Molly. Jacqueline, please launch the Zoom poll so members can vote on chair-elect.
Just updated the question and it was loading, so hold on a second. Ten more seconds if you wish to vote. All right. And there are the results of that. With 69 yes and 1 no, I believe that passes quorum. I will verify that after the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Jacqueline. Next, the election for Benefits and Compensation Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs. Do we have any nominations from the floor? With no nominations from the floor, I would like to call on Brian Olmsted, who submitted his nomination packet, to speak for 1 minute.
Are you able to see me here?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So And I'm sorry, I just had a little glitch. This is for B and C, right? Or this is, yeah. Okay,
You're
thank you.
good.
So, yeah, I've been Monica's co-chair, and I can see that it's very important to have continuity with leadership on the B&C subcommittee, and I would like to continue representing that subcommittee in this role. Monica is very good at this, and I can see the incredible value she has brought to it and rolling off. I think we're going to need someone else as well. So I would really invite a co-chair. I hope there is somebody interested in having a co-chair. Other than that, I'm in the College of Science and Engineering. I'm a manager here. I manage labor represented groups in civil service and P&A. So I have a good spread of different kinds of issues that are here at the university. And I think I'm well positioned to represent P&A specifically, and would like to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Jacqueline, go ahead and launch the Zoom poll so that our members can vote on the B and C committee chairs.
Last call. With 72 yes and 0 no, that vote passes.
Next, we have thank you, Jacqueline. Next, we have the election for our communications subcommittee chair or co-chairs. No candidates have submitted materials for the spot. Do we have any nominations from the floor? All right, we will move on to the next election, which is for the Professional Development and Education Subcommittee Chair or Co-Chairs. Do we have any nominations from the floor? With no nominations from the floor, I would like to call on Alex Batches, who has submitted his nomination packet.
Hi, everybody. This is my fourth year at the U, but this would be my third year on P&A Senate. That's just kind of who I am. I'm a sucker for service. I served on 2 university committees at my previous school in the 3 years there, and I'm also on my neighborhood's community council. I just sort of believe that if you value in something collective like P&A Senate, you got to volunteer to serve on that thing, and I'm happy to be doing that again. As for what I hope to be doing as in my second year as co-chair, over the next year, it's really about just continuing what our committee has already been doing really well. I think our brand is really growing. Our attendance numbers at events are exploding. Prospective speakers are seeking us now out instead of the other way around. As someone who's really driven by lifelong learning, I'm just really proud of what our programming has been like over the last couple of years, and I just want to see that excellence continue over the next year.
Thank you, Alex. 1 second, folks. I'm Jacqueline, I sent you a very urgent message in chat. Can you let me know, please?
Yeah, hang on to
Thanks for your patience, folks. Just 1 second. I want to make sure we do this right. All right, Joshua Braverman, you're next.
Yeah, so hello everyone. For those of you who hadn't had a chance to meet yet, I'm a P&A employee, obviously. I'm the Director of Data and Research Support in the College of Biological Sciences, primarily housed in the Department of Biology Teaching and Learning. I've been at the U for 7 years. I did my PhD here before transitioning into my present role. I was involved in as a grad student with the Council of Undergraduate Students, whatever, COGS, for 2 years. I was involved with a lot of the conversations around during COVID, as well as leading up to what became the unionization. And also have gotten more and more involved with P&A Senate. I'm on the PD&E committee now, and I've kind of warmed up slowly, but kind of have gotten a lot more involved with planning the last couple of events, and working with Molly and Alex, and sort of seeing the great work that's been laid down by those who came before us. I'd like to help by expanding what we mean by professional development and engagement, both synchronous, asynchronous, more communication, getting something in the newsletter every month, those sorts of things.
Thank you so much, Josh. All right. I want to verify just before, sorry, this is what's taking up some space here. Alex and Josh, are you all running individually, or would you like to run as co-chairs?
I am planning to run as a co-chair. I don't know what the difference or just sounds like a distinction without a difference to me, but I had assumed I was running as a co-chair.
Great.
I had the same assumption as well.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. All right. Now with that all ironed out, we had no nominations from the floor. So Jacqueline, go ahead and launch the Zoom poll so members can vote on the PD&E subcommittee co-chairs.
Hopefully this makes sense the way that I have this set up, since there are two. Five more seconds if you wish to vote. And we have 67 for Alex and 68 for Joshua, so both are approved for co-chair.
Excellent. All right, next up is our last but not least subcommittee chair or co-chairs election, which will be leading outreach. Do we have any nominations from the floor? All right, with no nominations from the floor, I would like to call on Casey Gregerson, who submitted her nomination packet, to speak for 1 minute.
Excuse me. Thank you, Kit. My name is Casey Gregerson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Science. And kind of like Alex, I guess I'm a sucker for finding ways to get involved, and then I end up jumping in feet first because I was just elected to the Senate in December and thought, well, why not? I'll just throw my hat in the ring, fully expecting other people would also be throwing their hat in the ring, but y'all proved me wrong there. I would really appreciate a co-chair because I haven't been on outreach at all. So I would hope someone else will be willing to step up and help me out. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Casey. All right. Jacqueline, go ahead and release the poll. Oh, one moment, Kim.
Hi, this is late breaking news. I didn't realize that Casey was going to be perhaps a co-chair, and I would like to work with her. I've been on outreach before. I don't know a whole lot about it because I've only been a member, but I would like to nominate myself as co-chair to outreach. Is that okay?
That is very okay. Yes, you stopped it just in time. Jacqueline, you can go ahead and close that first poll.
Can we be a package deal?
Yes, absolutely.
Happy meal.
You bet. Kim, if you'd like, you can have up to a minute to talk a little bit about, why you would like to do this.
So my name is Kimberly Clark. I am a social sciences librarian, and I'm interested in governance, and I've never done had a leadership role like this, a co-chair or a chair role. So I thought, this is the now is the time, this is the place.
Great. Short and sweet. That works. All
Kim,
right.
can you spell your last name for me?
Yeah, it's Clarke, Clarke.
Thanks, Kim. Jacqueline, when you're ready, go ahead and launch the poll.
Second. Five more seconds if you wish to vote. With 72 yes and 0 no, that carries.
Excellent. Congratulations. All right. Our final election is for the open spots on the University Senate, which is held by P&A members. There are 10 open spots, and we've received 13 nominations. Our bylaws do not require nominations from the floor on these University Senate spots, and given our abundance of candidates, we're going to move on to allow each person to speak for up to 1 minute. Joshua Braverman, you're first.
Yeah, so ditto to everything I said before. While on the P&A Senate for this year, I've dove headfirst. I've attended most of the University Senate meetings this semester, just as a university member, and that's what inspired me to run for this because I've seen how great that body has been. My main mission here is to make sure that P&A employees are considered in relevant Senate matters, even if it isn't necessarily about Senate and P&A employees, making sure that it's considered while helping stay agile to what happens within our roles, acting as the spokespeople of our other P&A employees as we're in these uncertain times. And so far, in my time at the U, I've seen the experience at the department, college, and university governance, and how diverse viewpoints help to make informed, thoughtful decisions, and how to ensure that future university leadership and newer P&A employees are represented, making sure that those spirited debates continue to happen.
Great. Thank you. Wow, that was an impressive, and I don't know what that was all about. I
Sorry
wish I
about
could
that.
Who did that? That was incredible.
Thanks. When I got when I got out of the app and had to go back in, Kit, to respond to you, it defaulted back to that. My apologies, folks.
I mean, I feel that was quite a flourish. All right, up next we
Flourish
have
is the perfect word. Can we get more of that?
Yeah, right. Up next we have Natalie Buckman.
That was wonderful. So I have put my name in the ring as well for University Senate. Previously, when I was in civil service, I served on the University Senate during initial COVID times, and I found it very useful and also, just really encouraging to myself to be able to be part of decisions at the university and learn of other parts of the university that I am not necessarily involved in. And now I'm at a place where I feel I could do that again. And that's my whole thing.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Next up, we have Pamela Cherry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pamela Cherry. And so my role is the administrative director for the Bacchus Center for Spirituality and Healing. And I'm an alternate P&A Senate representative for the School of Nursing. So in my role, I have extensive experience across the university, and my current role really requires deep functioning knowledge of policy, legal considerations, strategic direction, HR, finance, research, academics, good on the roll. So all of that to say that I feel my diverse experience at the university and wide breadth of knowledge will make me able to really understand a number of the complexities of the varied initiatives or ideas that come up in the University Senate. I have been at the university almost 30 years and all but one classification or employee group. And while I haven't been part of the P&A Senate long, I've been inspired by many colleagues and would be honored to serve to represent the P&A group and the University Senate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela. All right, Barb Diker.
Thank you. Barb Diker. I am in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences in the School of Medicine. I've been at the U, working for the U for 10 years, a couple of graduate degrees from here, and served on the P&A Senate for the last 3 years. It's been a joy to serve on the P&A Senate. I've gotten to know people across the university and feel like that the University Senate would be an opportunity to expand that knowledge and represent our employee group in the very important conversations that happen there. So thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Next up, we have Kelly Leaf.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Leaf. I am part of CEHD and I work in the School of Social Work where I am an instructional staff as well as coordinating internships in the community for my students. I have been on the P&A Senate as an alternate since December. Absolutely love it. I'm geeky that way and it's really interesting. I have been active on several college level committees as well as in our School of Social Work. I have been on the Sexual Misconduct Hearing Committee. And what else? I love to volunteer. I love representative government. I'm really passionate about representing the experience of those of us here on MooU on the beautiful St. Paul campus, making sure that we are creating more inclusion and representation for our campus over here. And I'm really passionate about fostering a sense of belonging for P&A employees, our students, and everybody here. So please consider my candidacy. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Next up, April Nelson. Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to break in. My screen is locked, so I cannot run the timer. Can you give a quick pause to let me get out and get back in? And Jacqueline, you're probably going to have to send me another invite to do that.
Like co-host?
Oh, it straightened up. So I think we're sorry about that. I was like, could not get it to move. It was locked, but it looks like it's going to work now. So
awesome.
All right, perfect. So we're going to continue unless Lori has any more sound effects or crises to contribute. And April Nelson, you're up next.
Hi, I'll probably keep this short and sweet. I have been part of the P&A Senate really kind of the whole time that I've been a P&A employee, switching from civil service where I was for probably 10 years before moving into P&A. I've learned a lot and I really appreciate what I've been able to learn and take away from being a part of this group. And I'd really love to explore what that's like on the University Senate as I predominantly work over in a Rio office, the research space with predominantly civil service employees. So I'd like to continue navigating the P&A role, also with kind of more of how it intersects with civil service and other employee groups. Thanks.
Thank you so much, April. Next up, we have John Patton.
Hi, so I represent the medical school and I work in the Department of Neuroscience. I currently serve as a university senator. I previously served as a university senator also when I was on the Civil Service Senate. And I'm just interested in continuing to serve as I feel it's a good way to represent P&A at the university level.
Thank you, John. Lisa Ratke.
Good morning. I serve as a P&A senator from the Duluth campus, and my interest in serving on University Senate stems from the belief that our system governance should be representative of all of our campuses, and currently our Duluth campus is underrepresented, so I'd love to fill that role. I have served on our staff senate for the past few years and found that to be very interesting, and being part of this group for 2 years certainly has opened my eyes to what's going on at a system level, and I would love to continue to be an advocate and a liaison of information in between our campus and then P&A Senate and the greater system campus or system governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Whitney, Taha Frakes.
I'm gonna do something unusual, and since we have more than 10, I'm gonna withdraw. Originally, I just didn't want a seat to go open, so I no longer want to put in for my candidacy.
All right. Thank you, Whitney. Next up, Nick Walsh.
Hi, everybody. Nick Walsh. I'm the Associate Director of Communications for the Office of Admissions here on the Twin Cities campus. I've been here for 9 years as an employee, and 3 years on the P&A Senate. But my association with the U of M is more than 25 years long in a number of different capacities. So I look at this maybe as more of a global approach. As the way I see things from an admission standpoint, and I get a different viewpoint from the student-facing look from the university. And I think higher education as a whole is really at a crossroads here. And so from a micro level, from our university, our P&A, we want to be positioned well, but I think there's going to be a lot of major decisions that are going to be taking place from a national level, and it's going to affect us as a university. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And Jane Welter.
Hi, thank you all. I'm Jane Welter. I serve as the Senior Director for Research Strategy in the medical school. I see a couple of my medical school colleagues have also put their name in, so I appreciate that. I am just 2 years into my career here at the U. I have served for many years in other organizations in similar roles and have participated in governance in those organizations. I will say that this group, the P&A Senate, I just so appreciate the energy, the collegiality, the wisdom, and the insight of this group. And I think it's very highly functioning, which I don't see in all of our governance groups at the university, frankly. But I do believe in the mission and the contributions of this group and what we're doing every day for our peers. The university is an incredible place in so many ways, but the governance and decision-making structure is incredibly complex. It's difficult to navigate. As a lone and especially new employee, it's really difficult to find a way to share your voice. So I think we're in a unique position to create impact for our peers, working with our leaders, and would be happy to represent.
Thank you, Jane. Finally, folks, Jacqueline noted in the chat that some of our university Senate candidates were unable to attend today's meeting. Jacqueline has put their bios in the chat in the document there. All right. Now, just a reminder, Jacqueline, go ahead and launch the Zoom poll. You may vote on up to 10 members on this, so please vote accordingly.
Yep. So Laurel Nightingale and Carol Rishock were not able to attend, but their bios were included in that sheet that I posted. So we have 12 candidates now, and so just make sure you're only checking 10. I'm going to launch this, and this might take a while, so I'll give plenty of time for people to read through the names.
Yep, no problem. Lorraine, yes.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the names of all of the candidates. This was the one of the people who were in attendance today. Is that the right? Or am I missing something? I see. Never mind. It's in the tab to the left. You can toggle between the two.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, thank you.
No problem. That's all right.
Any other questions before we launch the poll? Okay, here we go.
Take your time on this one, folks, if you need it. We've got a couple seconds and there's a lot to read over for this one. I get it. Go ahead and keep voting, folks, if you haven't yet.
Looks like the poll's slowing down, so I'll just make one last call, 10 more seconds. And someone pointed out too that you have to scroll down to see the full list.
All right,
Okay.
Jacqueline, I think we can go ahead and close I think we can go ahead and close.
So as you can see, it looks like a really close race. So I will verify these results after the meeting and I will follow up via email with the winners.
Great. Thank you, Jacqueline. All right. Now, as you may have noticed, there's still quite a few spots that are still open. There are a few subcommittees that need chairs or co-chairs. If you're interested in any of those positions, please reach out as soon as possible to Tony, Jacqueline, or me to express your interest, and we will connect with you directly and provide guidance on what comes next. That concludes our elections. Thank you so much for your participation, and congratulations to all the winners. Next, Tony and I are going to be doing our chair and chair-elect reports together. I'll go ahead and kick us off. First, thank you so much for allowing me to serve as your chair this year. It's been a tumultuous year in university governance and so full of so many surprises, but this was a duty that I've taken very seriously and I've participated in it with my full heart. It has truly been an honor to connect with each of you and to advocate for you. To all of you who have reached out to me with concerns and thank you so much. Your voices, your guidance, and your unique perspectives have been invaluable to me. I would also like to offer a special thanks to Tony, who has been a terrific leader, sounding board, and always made time for me no matter when. I would like to thank Jacqueline. As many of you know, this is Jacqueline's first year supporting the P&A Senate, and she has absolutely exceeded expectations. Jacqueline's sense of humor, her wisdom, and her big heart have made leading PAC a pleasure, and I'm grateful for how organized she keeps us. I would also like to thank the folks from the Senate office, especially Lori, who helped navigate lots of challenges and unexpected meetings this year. There are so many things that happen behind the scenes, folks, and I can't emphasize enough how helpful our university Senate office is. Last, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank PAC. The folks leading our subcommittees are some of the most talented, passionate, and committed people that I've ever worked with, and every one of our meetings was constructive, informative, and fun. While my term doesn't end until July, and I'm going to continue working very hard on your behalf until then, my time as your chair is winding down. I'm excited for all of you who are staying around and will be working with Tony. Tony is going to do amazing things, and I'm very excited to see how she changes the university and also the world. I encourage all of you to continue listening to your colleagues, not just P&A, but civil service, faculty, and students, and elevating their concern. One of the most common themes in shared governance this year is how siloed our groups at the university continue to be, and that when we unite and do things together, things get done. We all do better when we all do better, and the university becomes a better workplace for all of us when our voices are heard and action is taken. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone for everything that you've contributed. I'm so grateful. Tony.
Hi everyone, thanks so much. First of all, I just wanted to say I'm so excited to be working with Molly as my chair-elect next year. Thank you, Molly, for running. I know it's a scary first step. It gets easier after this. I also wanted to give a huge thanks to both Jacqueline and Kit for the work that we've done together this year. Kit has been a huge source of support for me during my chair-elect year, and kind of helped me get past those initial jitters. I'm already planning on pulling him into things next year as well. So yes, Kit is very much not quite yet done. So thank you for all you've done and will continue to do for me in the Senate. Second, I wanted to kind of talk about what's coming up in the next year, what my vision is going into being chair. I suspect we'll have no shortage of issues to discuss in the upcoming year. We could have twice as many meetings in a year and still have great conversation around issues that we're seeing across our system. We have a new provost coming in sometime in the near future. We'll need to establish a relationship with them as a Senate. We also have a litany of changes, including looming concerns about federal funding of higher education. And while we don't know what's to come, we'll no doubt need to be a voice for our constituents during that time. Finally, in the next year, I do know I want to focus on representation. So keeping P&A Senate's seats on Senate committees, or P&A seats on Senate committees, as well as our own members and alternates. Keeping those seats filled is always an ongoing task, and it takes a lot of effort to keep those elections up and running. So thank you to the Senate office for their assistance with that. I'd also like to work with the Civil Service Senate around right-sizing representation of our various senates on the University Senate, which will be an ongoing project as well. This is by no means an exhaustive list of all the critical things coming our way, but I hope to engage with you all in the coming year, those of you who are staying around, to ensure that we're delivering on the goal of representing our staff across our system and across the state. So thank you for your support of and your continued support of the P&A Senate.
Tony, thank you so much. All right. Next up, let me see. Cole Hansen is going to provide remarks from the Civil Service Senate and Consultative Committees. Cole?
Hello, everybody. I hope you're all enjoying the end of a wonderful week, and hopefully the weather will be nicer for everybody this weekend. I just want to say thank you for all the partnership that I've been able to have and enjoyed this last year with the folks here in P&A, especially your leadership team. It is no small effort to navigate, co-governance at the best of times. And considering the challenges we have faced, not only coming into last year, but we have been continuing to navigate this year with whether it's transitions at the university in senior leadership or transitions at the federal government in senior leadership. I am very thankful to have counted on and to continue to count on P&A as an ally and a comrade in this struggle of making sure we're representing all of our folks in our bargaining units across the university. I do want to quickly say I'm looking forward to my upcoming term as the chair of Civil Service Senate as well. I'm very excited to partner with your leadership more directly, more specifically around these issues of, yes, right-sizing representation making sure that when civil service gets a win, P&A gets a win, and vice versa. There's a lot of really great opportunities ahead of us. And with that, I will share the first of these shared wins going into the summer, the end of the semester, which is we recently just completed our required legislative, I guess that's what it's called, hearing, open town hall sort of thing on the amendment to the civil service rules regarding loss of pregnancy and including that as one of the uses for bereavement leave, which means in a very remarkable effort from our rules team and our representatives in Civil Service Senate and cooperation from OHR, we will not have only created a rule, but we will be getting it to the Board of Regents within a single academic year, which is quite remarkable considering how long it takes to negotiate labor contracts, how long it takes to negotiate these sorts of things. So that speaks to the level of clarity that our team was able to bring to it, but also the importance of this sort of thing and the recognition from OHR and the recognition from our partners that it shouldn't be considered a benefit. It should be considered the right thing to do to extend these sorts of opportunities to folks in their moment of need when they work at the university. So with that, I'm looking forward to that benefit being extended to you all as well, per conversations with OHR after it is approved by the Board of Regents. So I just want to say thank you for all of your consultative support. This is exactly the sort of partnership that makes our units work together so well. And I'm really looking forward to the next year and finding different ways to not only advance the interests and needs of our bargaining units, but by and large, make the university a better place for everybody who works here through our cooperation. So thank you very much. And I'm available for questions if anybody needs to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Cole. We're going to do something just slightly off agenda and a little unusual, just because the situation arose and the timing kind of aligned. Ethan from the Student Senate is not able to be here today. And we have received a nomination for the Benefits and Compensation Subcommittee co-chair. And so since we have a moment, I would like to call on the person who nominated Pamela Cherry to speak for 1 minute about why you would like to be the co-chair of B&C, and then we will do a vote and then move on to our subcommittee chair reports. Pamela, you have 1 minute.
I apologize. I was not sure and should have asked this question prior to the meeting if I would be able to be part of the University Senate and subcommittee co-chair. So again, apologies for the late action there. But I have really enjoyed being part of the BNC subcommittee, for about 1.5 years. And Monica and Brian have done a fantastic job of bringing in experts to inform our work to help better inform, the P&A employee group. And I just would like to be able to support Brian's continued work in that vein. So I think I already shared my experience in the area, but thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Pamela. Jacqueline, I know we're just pulling this together, so if you need a second on the poll, that's fine, but go ahead and launch it when it's ready.
Last call if you wish to vote. And with 64 yes and 1 no, that motion carries.
Congratulations, Pamela.
Can we get another flourish?
Yeah, I think Lori has to do that. I'm not sure how, but but Brian, I think that's a welcome flourish, I think. All right. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our subcommittee reports, and Brian and Monica, you all are first on the agenda.
One second, I'm pulling up the document. Let's see here. There we go. So we met last month in April, and Paul Merrill attended as from OHR compensation, and Katie Kalaji also joined in. Paula gave us updates related to compensation and merit, as well as the ongoing implementation of PEAK. Katie addressed a question about vision insurance. There's more details in the notes agenda document that goes into that. And then we spent some time talking about getting ready for the elections for today and doing things like that. So that's what we did. Brian, anything else?
Yeah, I was just as a quick reminder, we had, in the beginning of the year, we had set up kind of our working group to try to focus on some reclass issues, just because we think there's a lot of room for improvement and some work to do there. A classic university, where somebody wants to go and do something, but they're not informed of all the other stakeholders, happened to us as well. So we were able to figure out who else was also looking at this. And we decided that the WRGC group is probably best suited to lead this. So we're still looking for ways to stay involved, because I know there's a lot of people who want to help with this and want to volunteer some of their time and service. So yeah, Molly and Monica and I'll be meeting in I think it's on our calendar for like 2 weeks now, and we'll discuss kind of what that looks like and how to move forward with it. Thanks.
There we go. Flourish. Next up, communications with Angie and Deirdre.
Hi there, everybody. Do my report first. So our final newsletter of the year went out last week. So as a reminder, we do 3 newsletters in a year. So we have gotten to our last one, and we had about a little over 65% open rate. So we've dropped a little bit from the beginning of the year, but we are still getting pretty good open rates and click rates. So that's very exciting to see. Thank you all for distributing April meeting minutes out to your constituents. That component of our charge couldn't happen without all of your efforts. So much appreciated, as well as shout out to Jacqueline for all the effort she puts in each month in updating the constituent list so that we have accurate lists to communicate with. And then our final meeting of the year is next Monday, where we will be discussing the wrap up and summary meeting minutes from this meeting, and getting those out before the end of May. You can check in and link to our agenda and notes. And then I just want to call out the elephant in the room. We didn't have any nominations for the comms leadership. I am rolling off P&A Senate. I would love to talk to anyone about the role and help get some people into those seats for PAC next year to support Tony and Molly's year. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions about that role or responsibility, so I can maybe help demystify it. I didn't feel comfortable calling anybody out and doing a nomination of someone else, but hopefully in the meeting on Monday we can talk a little bit more about it and maybe get some interest from our current committee, because obviously I don't want to leave those positions open under the next year's leadership.
Thank you so much, Deirdre. Next up, we have outreach with Aaron and Chris.
Hello. Aaron, we didn't coordinate, but I'll jump in. So let's see, this since the last meeting, we've been doing what we can to kind of drum up some interest for the co-chair and any of the officer positions and spring elections. So super excited to have Kim and Casey kind of taking the reins going into next year. So kind of upcoming, we're going to be focusing in on that transition planning, setting up our next co-chairs to be successful. Aaron and I both know what it's like to kind of take over, have 2 fresh faces on the subcommittee. We were set up really well coming into our role, so we hope to do the same going forward. Then our Next meeting is Wednesday, the 7th. That's really all we have.
Thank you so much. PD&E with Alex and Molly, the floor is yours.
I'll take the first crack at this, and Molly can jump in with what I inevitably miss. We have one last event, our 6th of the year, coming up on May 12th on Monday. It's the folks from USAS who are going to be presenting on surveys simplified. So how to the basic tips and tricks to designing an effective survey. So the registration link is there in the meeting notes. Maybe somebody can also drop it into the chat for me when it's convenient. As for our prior events, we had in April a policy pop-up on ESST leave, time off. We're still working with Lauren, the speaker from that event, to generate a sort of Q&A FAQ document from that event to share. Once it is ready, you will find it and all of our previous event materials on the P&A Senate's seminar series website, where Jacqueline has been very graciously putting all this. If a link to that could also go in the chat at some point, that would be great. That's where you can find the recordings from our 2 March events. We had an event from the Digital Office of Digital Accessibility on meeting digital accessibility guidelines, which go into effect next year. We also had a professional development webinar on fostering intergenerational working relationships in the workplace. And you can find those recordings and the related materials on that P&A Senate seminar website. And, you know, I'm sure Molly would say this too, but we've had absolutely outstanding participation with our events this year, which is, I think, a testament to you all helping to build these events, but also advertising them and shopping them with your colleagues and peers and constituents. I think we haven't had any event that's even come close to less than 300 registrants. We've had like 300 folks attend live sometimes and more engage with the recordings after the fact. And so thank you to all of you for participating in these events. It means a lot to us planning them, and keep sending us your ideas for events. We really appreciate it when we've already got a topic and a speaker lined up that we can just roll with. That makes things really easy for us.
Thank you, Alex and Molly. Jacqueline, I believe you had a couple quick things that you wanted to share with everyone before we move to our next item.
Yep, just a couple quick housekeeping items. First of all, the elections for P&A senator and alternate seats. There are 20, possibly 21 units that will have a ballot going out on Monday morning. So out of the 34, so watch your inbox for that, and please vote on those, because that determines the seats for next year, the next 3-year terms. And some people are reappointed too through that process. And the second item is that our newly elected chair-elect and other subcommittee chairs or co-chairs will be invited to the May 15 PAC meeting. That's our final meeting of the year. We call it the Super PAC. So watch your inboxes for that. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline. Next on our agenda is old business, and with no old business on the agenda, we move to new business. Is there any new business? All right, with no new business, I will move that we adjourn, and this concludes our meeting of the P&A Senate. Have a great summer, folks, and thanks for your participation this year.